So I came at it from this perspective, right? I created these searches. I did my homework. I knew my deal killers. And then when a property came up, I said, hey, Mr. Realtor, I want you to make an offer on that one. So if you wanted to go the other way, let's talk about realtors. Because some people are more of the, I don't want to do this research. I want to pay a realtor to do it for me and then have them send it to me. So let's talk through that strategy. And I want to preface this with this first question is, how do realtors get paid? Because it's important to acknowledge their motivation is getting paid. This is how they take care of their family. The only way that they get paid is by selling a property, right? Either they're the buying agent or the selling agent. But ultimately, if you're the client there, the only way they make any money is by you purchasing the property. So kind of keep that in the back of your head, because in my personal experience, I had 2 deals that I backed out on, and my realtor was pushing me to close on them. He's like, no, that's going to be fine. There was deed restrictions, like the title report came back, and one of them specifically said no business use, right? But we were outside of the city limits, and there was no zoning in that area. But the deed restrictions itself said that, and I couldn't find that out until I got the title report back about 5 days later. He's like, it's gonna be fine. I've seen other businesses over here, like no one's gonna say anything. I went and talked to the city and showed them this, and they said, hey, you know what, like, we can't give you the permit based on this. He was like, no, you're gonna make it work, right? I know the guys at the city council. Okay, from this perspective, he's a good guy and everything. He's trying to get paid, right? I want to know people's motivation before I put my trust in them. Because ultimately, if you take your realtor's word at, hey, this property is going to work, it's not your realtor's job to do the due diligence. It's your job to do it. So if you are going to use a realtor and going to take their advice or opinion on what it is, at least start with the perspective of how are they getting paid and how is that affecting their motivation. Because for me, I had a couple circumstances where I said, no, like I'm not taking on any risk. I'm risk adverse. I only want to do a deal if I know I can do it. And again, that may be different than the realtor. So there's really 2 ways that I kind of go through this on talking to the realtor, working with them. Is one way is the way that I do it. It's you tell them what you want, right? Like I created the searches, I run through it every morning and see, and then I say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, I want this property. Go call the realtor on the other side, find out all the info on it, see if you can, pull any more information on it. And then I want you, if it's all good, then I want you to make an offer for me, right? That's one way to do it. The other is the opposite, where you are kind of less in the picture, less driving the decision-making here. And you're saying, hey, here are the criteria that I want. I want you to send me things like this. I personally don't think that's the best way to go, but you may decide to do that. So if you do, here's what you should tell your realtor, right? Here's what they should be looking for. And ultimately, it is everything that you are looking for. You're just asking them to do your work for you. But again, keep in mind, they may not be 100% truthful or dig into it the way that you would dig into it, because they're not risking any money. They are actually on the opposite side going to get paid whether or not you make any money or not. They don't care. They may care, but nonetheless, they're going to get paid even if you buy a deal that does not work out. So, right, you're going to tell them, here are the 4 things that I want you to look at. And you can add as many as you like, but I want it to be looser because, again, I like more options. I think more is better, and I'll throw out the ones that are not good. So zoning and other restrictions, right? They're going to have MLS access. They can sort by, residential properties. They can sort by commercial properties. Ultimately, I want to know, again, from prior to this, I've talked to the city, I've used my example properties, and I know here are the areas that I can do it as far as zoning. So obviously I want to say, hey, you know what? My city said residential or R1, I cannot do it here, right? They said I can do a 6-bed. I don't want to do that. So not residential. I can do commercial. I can do mixed use. I can do multifamily. I can do agriculture. I can do these 6 things or whatever it is, right? Here are the list of things that I can do regarding zoning. So only send me a property if it's within these zoning types. And then perhaps other restrictions, right? Like, is there any deed restrictions? Is there any HOA things? Is there anything that says no business use, or, you must have, I don't know, like there's some restrictions that I've seen that said like no 2-story properties or must have a second home, like weird things like that if you're building for residential. So what are the other restrictions? I want to make sure that they've checked these things before they send them to me. Land size is going to be, again, pretty obvious. You may just say, I want to see everything. Send me everything 1/2 acre and above, but I probably don't want 20 acres, right? Send me anything in between. Or price. I want something that is, $200,000 to $600,000. Anything that's 1.5 million, that's too much. Don't send that to me. And then same with area, right? I want to be in this area or this area or this area. You may just say, here's 3 or 4 cities. You may say, hey, I want to be on the east side of this town, not the west side, whatever you like there. But I would set it up that way. If you wanted to work with a realtor, well, you should work with a realtor, but how do you want to go about it? Option A or option B, you telling them or them giving you options to look at. And again, I think more is better. Ultimately you do both, right? There's no reason they can't be sending you these things. But ultimately, like my realtor was sending me a bunch of stuff, but ultimately I still was seeing them myself every single day in the search options. The only reason it wouldn't come up for me is if potentially it's an off-market deal or pocket listing, something like that, right? If that is the case, then here's my categories that I want you to send me, and then hey, shoot that over to me. So the goal here is to get to a place where with such confidence that I can do the deal in these 5 areas with these 5 zoning types. And when one property does come available, I can within 5 minutes or 10 minutes easily go on the city's website, check it, and know that there is no deal killers here, and let's make an offer, right? Or let's dig into this a little bit more. And then giving myself 30, 60, 90 days to have a due diligence period to therefore go set the pre-application meeting with the city and then have a longer list of questions going through. Again, that's all in the due diligence question, and there's videos breaking it down for each of the different categories there. But you're not going to get everything answered on the front side, but just go with the deal killer questions to make sure you can do this.